You must break the pattern today or the cycle will continue tomorrow. Let me guess, you're wanting to learn AI, you just don't know where to start, you're procrastinating, you've watched countless hours of YouTube, Instagram and TikTok reels, you've bookmarked 47 articles, you're on LinkedIn, you're doing all these things. But in the same sentence that you tell your colleagues, I need to really get into this AI stuff, is you say, I just don't have time though. And now you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't know where to start, and this is where your divide between what your students are doing and what you're doing is completely widening further and further. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Last week, I was in orientation week and I interviewed 84 students in grade 6. If you don't know, they're about 12 to 13 years old. And I asked them, who has used ChatGPT? Every single person's hand went up. And then I asked, how often are you using it? Pretty much most of the students are using it within their week when it is a school term. If you're wondering, oh, look, I'm just waiting for that right professional development. Just look, it's not the right time right now. It is. Otherwise, the cycle that you're in today with overwhelm, stress, is going to continue tomorrow unless you take action now. Today, I'm going to expose that dangerous loop, and that's a repetitive cycle that we focus on and we find ourselves in as educators. I'll also give you a 3-step framework just to break that pattern and actually change that cycle, giving you very specific implementation steps for today. So you no longer just sit on doom scrolling, trying to learn, because we know that doesn't actually do anything for us. Now, if you're new here, my name is Vaughn Littlejohns. I'm a Director of Technology and Innovation at an IB World School, and I help teachers and people really leverage their time, make more impact in whatever profession they're doing through personal and professional development. So today, as I said, we're going to look at what is this vicious cycle, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to give you very specific actionable tasks to take away so you stop feeling overwhelmed and underprepared when it comes to AI, anything for your profession or your personal life. Does this sound familiar? It doesn't have to relate to AI, but you say, hey, I really want to learn this thing. You then procrastinate on that thing. You say, I just don't have time right now. So you end up watching more content. You start feeling overwhelmed because it seems so far advanced. You feel then your students are ahead because they know more about the thing than you. You start panicking. People start banning the different technologies that are used, but students use it anyway. You feel more behind. Committees start meeting, policies start getting written, and none of it actually gets implemented. While we debate these policies and procedures for the 47th time, we really just need to focus on a few key areas, especially if it comes to our own personal development when it comes to growth and learning, because remember, we as educators are lifelong learners. If we can focus on what we want to attain and bring it back into reality and then model success from and for our students, we will actually learn better together. Let's really just get into what do we actually need to do. There's a really simple process. We need to break the pattern today, otherwise that loop continues. How do we do this? We build our minimum viable toolkit. What do I mean? Literally, pick one AI. It doesn't matter what it is, probably ChatGPT, or if you're in a Google school, I would suggest Gemini, just because it is now getting integrated into the Google Workspace ecosystem. And it's actually becoming more seamless with things like Google Classroom and all of your Google dashboard icons like docs, slides, sheets, all those kind of things. So you don't have to learn about API, plugins, all those kind of things. Choose one, maybe two for your minimum viable toolkit. But then just literally test it. Use it for things that you wouldn't know. Go, hey, look, help me with this, do that. Give it specific tasks. Remember, a prompt or a instruction without sort of constraints or without context, it's going to give you rubbish. Just think about giving one task, one option, one bit of context, and then continue on. The second point we need to really then go into is what we call prompt engineering. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this is just a fancy term for saying use general purpose language, spoken and written, to actually give a set of instructions to an AI to go and then complete a task for us. If it's research, if it's creativity, if it's helping us document something or synthesize something, it doesn't matter, it is just helping us. But remember, when it comes to explicit teaching, this is the same when it comes to ChatGPT or AI in general. Be more explicit with your context, because this essentially is what we call context prompting. You give it context, you give it constraints, because at the end of the day, constraints enable accuracy. The more constrained you are with what you're telling it to do, the better your output will be. Remember, rubbish in, rubbish out. It's as simple as that. You don't need to overcomplicate it, but if you're really looking to deep dive on prompt engineering, there's some great frameworks by Google, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Anthropic, which is Claude. But if you really want to level up and you go to that next third step, and that is model success. Find somebody who's done it before and then model what they're doing. Don't wait for the next best professional development. Don't wait until you can go off to this fancy conference. Literally, because they are probably just trying to sell you their version of AI. You just want to get in a community, you want to get in around people who are doing the same thing that you want to learn. Now, if you're really that keen, awesome. I've got a free community you can join, and you just click the link in the description. And this is where there's about 72 other educators, and they are learning the foundational skills of AI. We're looking at vibe coding, we're looking at all this cool stuff, because they are really innovating in that space. But the interesting thing is 90% of the people who have joined are beginners. And the more interesting thing is more than 75% of those people have been teaching for 20 plus years. They are experienced educators, and they are still learning how and what to do when it comes to AI. Because as I said, we are lifelong learners. If we feel like we understand everything in education, we've lost and missed the point. You've got those first 3 steps. Break that cycle, because remember, action is the thing that will determine our success. It doesn't matter what it is. If we take the action, the first step's always the hardest. Pick an AI, doesn't matter what it is. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, any of them, just pick one. Test it for 2 weeks, start learning prompt engineering. If you want frameworks, go to that next step, which is come and join our community, and they've got all the frameworks there, broken down the best ones for us in education, and then you've got a support network at your fingertips as well. So you can say, hey, look, I'm testing this, I want to try that. What do you think? And there's a bunch of resources if you like them. After a decade of teaching technology, leading this in education, there is a couple of key things that we just need to focus on. Remember, rather than trying to resist change, it is easier and better for us and our students if we look at this problem that we're dealing with as a potential solution to our problems. Teachers are always time poor. We understand this. This is probably the #1 complaint when it comes to any sort of change. But think about administrative burden. If you can use an AI to help you draft all these documentation, help you do the admin things of teaching, you can actually then use it or free up your own spare time or time in general to then educate better, to teach better, to refine your resourcing, to refine your process, and to figure out what actually is going to work for your students. If we're looking at from that lens, fantastic. We know what we need to do. But if you really want to do this and get this really right, you need to share it with others. You need to tell people what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then they can actually start bouncing off ideas. Remember, we're better together. I'd appreciate it if you share this to a colleague. If you think it's helpful, give it a like, send us a comment, and if I see you in the community, fantastic. But remember, effort equals results. We put the effort in, we'll get the result. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's personal development, professional development, but when we are stuck with a problem and we say we don't have enough time, the quickest thing we need to do is one simple step, one action to break the pattern. Because if you don't break that pattern today, it'll continue tomorrow. And we can't always be stressed and time poor when it comes to education. It literally is not feasible, because remember, we want to be able to last the course rather than just do it for a short time. If you enjoyed the video, I'll see you in the next one. Remember, effort equals results.